So, Lord, open our hearts to hear your challenge and your love in our life today. Amen. I need help. Right. Okay. Jesus said, "Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." I know I've read those many times and I don't like hearing those sorts of words. It's a power statement, and it comes after the other one. Love your enemies. A double blow can lead to a double sense of helplessness and guilt. How can I be a Christian and live up to these demands of me? Being perfect, loving my enemies. Maybe I should just give up. As I was reflecting on it and exploring around it, the idea of perfect is about things being whole, about things having absolutes, about things being consistent and true. And this would make sense in this passage. Jesus is turning on his head the understanding of loving others. And he is suggesting that that is consistent with who God is. So maybe let me throw another word in here. Integrity. Jesus could have said, "Have integrity as your heavenly Father has integrity." This way of living a life of integrity puts a new perspective on our relationships with others. And it demands a loyalty and a commitment and a courageous love that goes much further than the accepted norms of the day. And so this idea of integrity could entertain, could it not, that a person of integrity loves his enemies. Not because of a feeling love, but because of who you are as a person of integrity. A person of integrity is someone who has a system of values against which they judge all life. A system of values that is determined by their walk with God. So in a nutshell, we could say integrity is doing and saying the right thing no matter who's watching, even if no one's watching. It means practicing what you preach. It means being honest with yourself and others about who you are. If you have integrity, you are complete, you are unbroken, or as Jesus would suggest, you are perfected, because what you say and what you do, they all match up. I want to throw another word in, honor. Honor. Not a word used a lot today. A person of honor is a person who lives a life of integrity. Honor, in one sense, is integrity's other face. If you think about integrity, it's something that's more about who you are, and honor is how the relationships come out of that. Integrity is personal, honor is seen in relationships with others and how you treat them. So how's your honor? How's your integrity? How does that fit in to our readings this morning? Let's go back to David. Fascinating set of circumstances, isn't it? Twice, in the matter of a few days, David has an opportunity to kill King Saul. Gets rid of his enemy, his problem, the one he's running away from and hiding in the caves, and he can become king. David has a choice to play by the roles of that day. He was going to be the next king. He would already been anointed by Samuel. He was more popular. He was stronger. Killing King Saul would not have been unusual. David had killed a whole lot of people, and he would kill more. But what does David do? he plays the bigger game. Jesus says the bigger game means to be perfect, to have integrity, to be something like God, to have honor, to show to the king, Saul, the honor due in spite of his behavior. Saul was the anointed one. David would respect that. The word honor is a word David's men would have understood. It's a word strong in the military game. Even the motley crew that was gathering around him. So in one sense, we're talking about the songs being sung. The song of integrity is honor. So David was thinking maybe something like this. If I'm going to be a king after God's own heart, a king under God, with God, then I need to be a person of honor and integrity. But also, I'm just not going to show this because I have to, or because I choose to. No, but because that's who I am. And if you read through David's musings, his psalms, you'll see how he's wrestled with it, and now it reflects the true character of who he is. David is saying, I need to be true to who I am in the midst of the game unfolding in front of me. He also is saying, I'm going to change the game. I'm going to offer the world another way of thinking about all of this. I'm going to be king. It's just a matter of time. I'll be the second king of Israel, and it's a wonderful opportunity early in this kingly new way of doing things to offer a legacy. And in one sense, David does. And the next king after David, his son Solomon, did carry on that legacy of honor and integrity till the end. What was Solomon known for? His wisdom, which is closely aligned with integrity and honor. But David went further as well. It's easy to sit and think that I'm going to be a man of integrity and honor and all that. You can almost hear him saying to himself, I'm going to show this by living it out. I'm going to be prepared, and I'm going to proactively risk my life to show that this is essential to my identity, to my way of leadership, to my way of being a king. I'm going to live this king kind of life now, this honor and integrity now, not just when I make it, when I'm made king and have the title. I'm going to be king now, even before I'm king. I'm that man now, and I will live that in all situations. Real leadership. So what happens next? I was trying to imagine how movies would portray it. Probably dark in the cave, both these incidents at night. Saul's come in to relieve himself in this cave, and David and his men are cowering in the back. Quite an interesting scene. And I can sort of see David sort of leopard crawling forward. He doesn't send somebody else. He goes himself. Cuts off the corner of the tunic. And then a couple of nights later, leopard crawling, takes a sidekick along, a volunteer. And they go to Saul, sleeping, surrounded by his strong men. And they take the spear and the water jug on his so-called bedside table, whatever that was on the floor of the field they were sleeping in. So you can see those good movie scenes. Probably will take about 15 minutes to play them out with all the angst and somebody snoring and somebody turning over and all of that sort of thing. And then David presents himself to the king, and Saul sees straight into it. Saul just acknowledges, wow, there is the man. Saul says, I have sinned. Come back, David, my son, because you have considered my life precious today. I'm not going to try and harm you again. I acted like the fool. I have been terribly wrong. But David knows Saul. He knows that people talk integrity, talk honor, but unless it comes from the heart, it's not there. So David didn't rush across and have a big hug with Saul. You see, by killing Saul, David may have become king, but he would have lost the real things, his honor and his integrity. Some of you have been journeying with me around the idea of finite and infinite games that we play. And this coming Friday, we're having our first business breakfast, and I hope you all are signing up and coming. And part of the idea of those breakfasts, it's called conversations. Not just to have a speaker who says something interesting, but for us to engage with the speaker and with ourselves around themes. And the subtitle of conversations is Wrestling with Integrity in the Workplace. We want to start the new September, spring, with these conversations that will take place over months. If we have these breakfasts, not a once-off, every 6 weeks or so. Wrestling with the themes and the sub-themes. Sharing our thoughts, our experiences, how we messed up, the challenges we're trying to take as we go forward. David was playing what we might call the infinite game. Jesus was talking about the infinite game things. The value of life and love. The values of integrity and honor. The things of who God is. The infinite games are about wisdom and a perspective on life that transcends the smaller battles, the finite games, the challenges of small living or living small. So who's the small battle, the finite game here? Well, it was who's my enemy now? My enemy now is Saul, so I get rid of my enemy now, Saul, and I've won. Or have I? Small battles of the angry, jealous Saul in the bigger picture of what is leadership, of what is this nation of Israel going to become. That's what Jesus did in the Sermon on the Mount. We heard one little episode. He said, "You have heard it said, love your friends and hate your enemies. But I say to you another way of thinking. Love your enemies. Because when you choose to love your enemies, you change the game. You choose to disarm them so that they too may become your friends." Jesus could have said that to the people listening. That's what I'm all about. I, as God's representative, as God here on earth, have come. You're still the enemies of God. I've come to die for you, to do everything that needed to be done in order that we can become friends again. That's the destiny of who I am. And that's something what we want to look at. How do we live out what it means to play the bigger games, the values that are enduring and lasting as we have conversations at breakfast? What are those infinite, what are those small finite games? When are we living so we are true to ourselves as David was in an environment that often is playing by different rules? So come on Friday and learn rule number 6. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So David could have killed Saul twice, solved his problem, become the hero, become the king. But David said, no, I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to show integrity and honor, what it means to be the anointed of God. David gives Saul back his spear and his water jug, and he walks away. David won the small, finite game by disarming the very game that he had been lured into playing. He offered something more, something bigger, something more important, something of the perfection of God, something of integrity and honor. Amen.